Now it's time for another Board Game Brawl preview with Nick Minahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com.
Hey now, my name is Nick, this is Board Game Brawl, and today we're going to be taking a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Faux Hunters, and it's from Spellforge Games. Now, if you like what you see throughout the rest of this preview video, I would encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page, which is running now. I'm going to have a link at the bottom of the screen now, and then at the end of the video, and also down in the description section of the video. That will take you to the official Kickstarter project page. You can find out even more information about Faux Hunters, and hopefully consider backing the project. Now, what is Faux Hunters? This is a deck-building cooperative card game. Each player takes control of a different fantasy hero. You have a dwarven paladin, and you have an elvish pathfinder like a ranger, and all these different types of heroes who are working together cooperatively to take down a foe, hence the name of the game. This could be an immensely powerful dragon or a group of cultists, but you have to take that foe down, but at the same time, they're just not going to sit there and let that happen. They're going to be slamming back against you with their special abilities and powers and their vassals, their powerful minions. But you have minions of your own, as well as your own special abilities and feats that you can use with your heroes. And all the while, like I said, this is a deck building game, so you're going to be building yourself up with more and more powerful cards from the city deck using the experience that you've gained throughout the game. Let me go ahead and give you a brief look at some of the other details of the game, and please bear in mind that this is a prototype version of the game, so you're going to notice that a lot of the cards don't have final artwork yet, but they will in the final version. Then we're going to come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, I'm going to briefly run you through Faux Hunters. This is a cooperative game. The players take control of fantasy heroes or are trying to defeat a deadly foe, hence the name of the game. If you can defeat that foe, you will win the game, but if all the heroes are disabled, that is game over for you. So this is a deck building game. Every player is going to start off with their own personal deck of cards representing their hero, together with a hero card that you will take out of that deck and keep separate, and any token cards that are associated with them, you'll keep those separate as well. In a deck building game, if you're not familiar with them, you're going to start off with a somewhat weak deck of cards, but you're going to build up to bigger and better deck by purchasing new cards, putting them into your discard pile, and then whenever you have to shuffle, you'll reshuffle everything together. Therefore, you will eventually gain access to those newer, better cards that you purchased before. Now, just as a reminder, and I mentioned this in my intro into the video, this is a prototype copy of the game, hence a lot of the cards do not have final artwork yet, but this is just to give you a taste for what the game is like. Now, like I said, every player is going to have their own starting hero, and I'll show you a few of the ones that come with the base game. You have Lilias, the Elven Archer here. Every hero has, first off, you have your hit points down in the corner, which you're going to grab a couple of die and indicate during the course of the game. You'll also have XP, experience points, which you'll keep track of as well. You're going to start with 4 of them, and she has 28 starting hit points. I'll get back to what XP does in a minute. Every hero has a feat, a special ability they can use on their turn. Now, Lilias's here is that marked target card that we have there. She can put that next to an enemy and deal the damage, and until the beginning of her next turn, she can increase all damage dealt to that target by 1 from any hero sources. She also receives an XP just for using this special ability. You also have other heroes you can play with. You have Doran Stoneblade, the Paladin, who gains a Martyr token. Until the beginning of your next turn, you may redirect 1 source of damage dealt to any target to your hero instead and gain an XP. You see he has a lot more hit points because of that. You have Grimnar, the, I believe, Orc hero Berserker, who gets to draw a card and lose 2 life unless you discard a card. And can rage. Whenever you discard a card with rage, you may use the rage effect on the card you are discarding at the time that you discard it. So a lot of his cards will have rage effects. And then you have Shale Bone Chatter, the Necromancer hero. You may discard a card. If you do, return a minion from your graveyard to play. So that very thematic instances of abilities there. So you'll have your starting setup, you have your XP, you have your hit points, and then you're going to draw 1 card from your deck. This is different than most deck builders where you'll draw several cards at the beginning. In this game, you're not, because the cards that you purchase are going to go directly into hand, you're not going to be drawing that many cards directly from your deck at the start or end of any turn. Now, the name of the game is Faux Hunters, so of course you're going to need a foe to fight. And while you do have other foes that you may be able to fight, like the Cult of Oleg Arth, which is a bunch of cultists. The one that I have down here now is Emberglow, the Flamebringers. And he actually is going to start off on this side, which, as I mentioned before, some of the cards are missing art. This is his phase 1 side, where all damage dealt to him is reduced to 1. At the beginning of the foe phase, he gets to heal a point for every 4 damage that it has. He only has 10 points. But when you reduce him down to 0, he flips over to his true side, Emberglow, the Flamebringer, which is going to let you, when he flips over, reveal cards until you reveal a H is the number of heroes. That many persistent abilities, and then put them into play for the rest of the game. They cannot be destroyed by the heroes. Put all of their cards revealed this way on the bottom of the foe deck in a random order. At the beginning of the foe phase, deal 3 fire damage to each hero, because he is a fire dragon after all, and to every vassal. And whenever a hero uses a feat, that hero takes 2 melee damage. And he has 90 hit points, but you have to mow through those hit points and destroy him. That is the goal of the game. Now up here you may be wondering what this deck is. This is the city deck. This is where, in true deck building fashion, you can purchase newer, better cards in order to put into your deck. These are the helpful things you can get. Each of them has an XP cost down in the corner, in which case you must reduce your current XP in order to purchase those cards. So just to show you a few examples of what they are and what they do. You have Arc Shot, an ability. You deal 3 melee damage to 2 targets, and then you receive an experience point. So as you use the cards, you actually gain the ability to purchase more cards. So you have the Paladin ability here. That was for the Pathfinder, right? Which is the hero that I have. Here's a Paladin ability. Smite, deal 4 holy damage to a target. If the target is destroyed from this attack, heal your hero for 4 hit points, and you receive an XP. Here are equipment cards, which can be used by the different heroes. You have Mending Salve. During your turn, you may sacrifice this card to heal your hero for 2 hit points and gain an XP. And the last one I'll show you, but there's way more than this, is Scroll of Frostbolt. During your turn, you may sacrifice this card to deal 2 frost damage to a target, and you receive 2 XP. Sacrificing means out of the game. And then lastly, over here, you may notice there's another stack of cards. These are just token cards, which you'll use to keep track of certain status effects. Like some cards will give you persistent armor, some cards will reduce the amount of damage that you can deal, and so on. So here's how the turns are going to go in Faux Hunters. First, you're going to have the Faux phase. This is where if there's any Faux abilities that are in play, remember he actually starts off on phase 1 here, then you'll resolve those first. Then you're going to go on to triggering any abilities that the Faux personally has, and then playing the top card of the deck. So you simply play that into the play area. If it's an equipment card or a permanent ability or a vassal, which is like the equivalent of a minion, then it's going to stay and play permanently. Otherwise, you're just going to use it and discard it. So Wave of Fire here says that you deal 3 fire damage to each hero. The foe heals 3 points, and you play the top card of the foe deck again. Each hero gains an experience point for surviving it. Just to show you some of the other ones that may possibly come out of the deck, you have cards like Dragon Flame, which deal 5 fire damage to each hero. Each hero sacrifices a persistent ability, minion, or equipment. Dragon Fire, which is a permanent ability, increase all fire damage by 1 forevermore. Deafening Roar, for the beginning of the next foe phase, foe targets are immune to damage. And Blessing of the Dragon God, reduce all damage dealt to the foe by 1 at the beginning of the foe phase. All heroes may discard their hand to put this card into the foe graveyard. So sometimes it'll give you the ability to deal with them depending on what the ability is. So once you get done resolving those cards, every player then has a chance to commiserate and cycle 1 card out of the city deck. If you're not happy with what the lineup is, perhaps there's not enough equipment cards for enough ability cards for a particular player that needs them, you can get rid of 1 card, put it into the discard pile, and then draw a new one to replace it. Then you're going to go into hero turns, starting with whoever you determine is the first player. On the hero turns, first thing is much like with the foe phase, you're going to determine if you have any start of turn effects, then removing any beginning of turn effects as well that you may still be suffering from or beginning the bonus of, but that would go away at this point. Then ready any armor tokens that you may have, and then finally draw a card and then take your turn. So you draw a card at the beginning of the game, and then you'll draw an additional card, and now you can take your actual actions during your turn. And what you can do, you have 3 different things that you can do, and you can do them in any order that you want. You can do each of them once. One is that you can play a card from your hand. Now there are different types of cards, just like with the foe cards, and I'll show you a few of them here. Some of them say and play permanently, some of them go straight to the discard pile. You have minion cards like Shadowfang here, who I want to picture as a wolf, perhaps. You can redirect all damage that would be dealt to your hero to a minion you control. At the end of your turn, Shadowfang deals 2 melee damage to target. Blade of the Tracker is an equipment. Whenever you play a minion, you may heal your hero for 2 hit points. Your minions receive +1 damage. Remember, these are only the Pathfinder cards, the Pathfinder hero class. So all the different decks have different cards and special abilities. Persistent abilities, Soothe Companion. Whenever your hero deals damage, you may heal a minion for 1 hit point. And Woodland Foraging, which is a one-time use ability. Choose one, draw a card, or you may play another card. Your hero gains an experience point. So you'll play one of those cards from your hand. Is one of the options that you have on your turn. You can do these in any order, remember. The other is that you can play a feat. Remember that her feat lets her use the hunting token to deal more damage, to deal a damage and then to deal more damage to a potential target. And then you can purchase a card from the city row, which I also already mostly explained. Reduce your experience points by the number of the card that you want to purchase, and then you're going to put it into your discard pile. And then at the end of your turn, you'll replace it with another card from the city deck for the next player's turn. And remember that your ultimate goal in the game is to be reducing the hit points of the foe. That is the big bad that you need to take down. As you reduce his hit points, you'll keep track of that with dice, just like you would for your heroes. When you make him flip, he'll get new special abilities, and he'll gain even more hit points, but do not be afraid. You need to take him down. And if you are able to do that, then you're going to win the game. Now, a couple of other things that I'll mention. First, it is possible for heroes to be incapacitated, that is, to be almost killed. And when that happens, they can't really do a lot of the stuff they would do on their turn, like playing cards from their hand or buying new city cards and so on. But what they can do is just draw a card from their deck and hope that it's an ability card. If it is, they get to use the ability card to help out their allies in whatever way the ability can, and then they choose another ally to get an experience point. In that way, at least they're helping out in some little bit, and hopefully the rest of the heroes can pull out the win. The other thing I mentioned, and I kind of touched on this before, is that there are certain cards in the city row that are in the city deck that are attuned to particular heroes. Like this is a card for the Pathfinder, this card is for the Paladin, and the color coding will remind you what type of class, like support or attack class, that those cards are for. But in particular to the classes that are listed on the card, that is called affinity. Now, anyone can purchase these cards for whatever the cost is down in the corner, but if you are that class, you gain affinity and you can actually purchase it for 1 less than the other players would be able to. So it's easier for Lilius, who is the Pathfinder class, to buy Pathfinder cards, which just makes sense. And the last thing I'll mention is that during the course of the Kickstarter campaign, there's actually going to be a lot more content released during the game. Tons and tons of new cards, new types of monsters, and new foes to fight. You even have new character classes, like you have Renin Faux Fury, who is an Elemancer hero who can, you may put a focus card from your hand into play, which is part of his whole deal. Choose Earth, Air, Fire, or Ice. You may deal 1 damage of that type to a target. So he's really elemental based, and there's no final artwork, but there are other types of foes like the Dreadmaster Zudian and the Pirate Lord Caraxes, just to give you a little tease of some of the stuff you can see in Faux Hunters as the rest of the game progresses during the Kickstarter campaign. That is just a quick run through of the prototype version of Faux Hunters. Now, let's get to my final thoughts. So the first thing that I noticed about Faux Hunters is that it is a cooperative deck building game. There's a ton of deck building games out there, and there's a few cooperative ones of note, but there's not a lot of those that fit within that specific subgenre, and that right away should make you take note of Faux Hunters. But then you add in the fact that it is mixing in essentially RPG elements, and it's really twisting some of the typical tropes that you see of deck building and putting them on their head, and just giving you a different and unique experience. So for instance, you're not drawing like a ton of cards from your deck. You actually get a very limited amount of cards from your deck, but there's a reason for that, and that is because you are buying cards directly from the city and putting them right into your hands, which not a lot of other deck building games do. That gives you a lot of tactical variability during the course of the game, and how you choose to respond and how you can like immediately purchase something, use it right away. It just gives you more options and really forces you to think strategically over how you're going to handle your turns and what you're going to purchase. Also, how you even purchase them to begin with is different, because that's experience points. So it's not just, oh, I played this gold card and now I can go and get this. No, you have to do things to accrue experience. You start off with a little bit, but it's not going to be enough to sustain you getting more and more better cards during the course of the game. You have to be playing special ability cards and using your feet, getting experience that way, and also withstanding the attacks of the foe, which is a very interesting aspect of the game as well, because if you think about a typical role-playing game, even when, in a lot of games at least, even when you get defeated, even when something bad happens, you still learn something. And that is what it represents in this game, Faux Hunters, when you gain XP just for withstanding the attacks of the enemy, which I think is a very interesting concept that really none of that I just described has been in any other deck builder that I've seen to this point. And then when you add in the fact that every hero is different, they all have their own special abilities, their decks function in different ways, they get, you get the cards that apply to your class of hero cheaper from the city deck, which means you can really make your your character specialized and powerful, and just focus on what makes you the best, as opposed to the other players who all have their own strengths and weaknesses. And that's something that I really like to see in games, this sort of variability of powers and making every character feel unique. And this is a cooperative game, and it can be a tough one depending on the foe that you choose to fight, and how the special abilities come out of the deck. That requires some strategic thinking. How soon do you want to make that monster, that foe, flip over to their other side, knowing that that is going to be their big bad monster side that could really, really mess you up? So do you hold off and wait until you have more and more better cards in your deck and then go for it? Or how do you do that? At the same time, cards are still coming out of that foe deck. They're still attacking you. If it's the dragon, you're still breathing fire on you and dealing damage. How much of that can you withstand before you have to take the plunge and try to take out that dragon as fast as you possibly can before he kills you? And of course, in any other kind of game, that might mean player elimination, where players will start getting picked off one by one. But luckily in Faux Hunters, you can still contribute to the group, so there is that. So there's just a lot of interesting aspects to this game that I haven't seen in a lot of other deck builders or cooperative games, mixing those two genres together. I think if you like fantasy games, if you like role-playing games, but you want something that can be played a little bit more quickly, without having to actually sit down and do a 4 to 6 hour role-playing game session. If you want a game that has a really great fantasy-style artwork as well, from some of the artwork that I have seen and that I did show off on camera during the overview. If you like all these different things and the deck building aspects and the cooperative play, then Faux Hunters is definitely a game that you should check out, and it is on Kickstarter right now. I'm going to have a link at the bottom of the screen, and then down in the description section of the video, that's going to take you to the official Kickstarter page. Find out more information and hopefully consider backing the project. That is Faux Hunters from Spellforge Games. My name is Nick, this has been Board Game Brawl, and I'm reminding you to get out there and game every day and in every way. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks